Previously on our Nightmare narrowboat build, guys, we ripped out our stove. Now we're getting into really cold months here in the UK. We've got to get this bad boy back installed. We buggered it up a couple of weeks ago by applying the wrong fireboard. This thing is completely illegal at this point, but today we're back with a bang to do it properly. Well, Bex is anyway, because as a lot of you know, I am useless at DIY. We are Chris and Bex, and we are the Nomadic Crobot. Welcome back to the rust bucket. Well, she's actually not a rust bucket anymore. In the last episode, this happened. We put down our wooden kitchen floors about a year ago, but we never sealed them. So in the last episode, I sealed them with hard wax oil. But how has it turned out? And Bex, the boss, is back today. So let's see how I've done. What do you reckon?
What have you done? Looks amazing. The Crobot team is complete once again.
How did I do with my buffing?
Well, I particularly enjoyed when you tried to attach the buffing pads to the sander. I thought that was absolutely brilliantly hilarious. But in all seriousness, you've done a really good job. It looks really good.
Any pointers? I mean, you're the professional.
The only thing I would say is, which I said to you before I went away but must have slipped your mind, just a tip, you might have wanted to do sections of the floor so you didn't have to walk over it to then buff it.
Because I did notice when I was kneeling on it for sort of longer than 10 seconds, my foot was starting to sort of melt into the oil on top, and then I'd have to buff the oil out.
So you could done like a little patch here and then walk over the bit you hadn't done. Leave that to do its thing. Once you've buffed it, moved on to the next section and work your way back. That's quite a handy tip. But otherwise, no, you've done it really well. You should be really proud of yourself.
I'm learning. So in true Crobot fashion, we're going to leave the hatch for another day. So you've had your girly weekend now. It's my turn. I'm going to get Bex to crack on with some bits now while I go away and enjoy a rock band at the O2 Arena. Can anyone guess who I'm going to see? It's a guilty pleasure band. Comments down below. See ya!
Okay, so now all of the fireboard is cut for the bottom part of the stove. It's time to attach it. So I've marked out on the hardy back where the structural timbers are underneath, so I know where I can drill through and thus screw it onto the base. So here you can see these are the timbers that run underneath, support the hardy backer. The little crosses indicate where there are already screws, so I don't try and screw into them. So now you can see both my boards have matching holes ready to sit on top of each other and on the base frame for the hearth. I'm just going to countersink the holes now because we don't want the screw head sitting proud of the board itself, because when you come to tiling, that's going to become an issue. I think I'm going to change tact and do this a different way with a bigger drill bit just in the top. We've gone for stainless steel screws, which are a wee bit more expensive. However, they should be able to handle damp and heat and all of that other stuff and make sure that it keeps this all nice and stable in the future. You can actually get hardy backer screws made by that company. However, they didn't have the correct length in stock for us that we needed, and they're really expensive, and we were told by several people that something like a stainless steel screw would be just fine. So okay, so fireboard on the hearth attached. It is not going anywhere. Solid as a cement board. Screw heads all nice and flush, ready to be tiled on. So the next stage is to screw the supporting battens on the side walls that can attach the side panels of the hardy backer. Why is it always when you're just getting into the throes of something, your bloody battery runs out? You want to know the irony? Just as I was recording saying that, the battery on the camera ran out. That's this side attached, nice and sturdy. Now onto this side. Done. So I've just leaned the side panels of fireboard up to make sure that everything sits nice and square. Placed a little tile down here just to double check that it's nice and square, and it's looking good. So it's all nice and flush along that line, and it's all nice and flush along that line, and it's all nice and square here. So I can now go ahead and start screwing these in. So what I'm going to do actually, just before I attach the hardy backer onto the walls, is I'm just going to make a couple of little stilts, and I'll show you why. Although I'm fairly confident that this is nice and rigid, it hovers above the ground here because there's a gap. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of wood underneath for it to rest onto, which will just give it some added kind of structure, because although the hardy backer actually rests on this, I just feel like that should have something underneath it in case anything went wrong. So it's just resting onto something rather than hanging midair. Winging it. Done. I wouldn't particularly recommend doing it that way, but due to the fact it's absolutely tipping down outside and that I'm on my own, that's the only way I can manage to do it. Okay, all done. So the area immediately surrounding the stove is all nice and protected and ready to be tiled on. Complete. Well, this part.
Another day and time for me to assess the situation.
Hey!
What have you been up to?
Well, I have been working my little tush off, as you can see down here.
Wow, I was dreading drilling these in.
It's all nice and square and stable.
Wow, done well, girl.
So I'm quite glad you're back, because I now need your help to do the top part. The bottom part was hard enough, trying to like hold bits up with like my knee and stuff, but the top part is definitely a two-man job. You up for the challenge?
You've seen what my buffing skills are like.
So the most important thing is going to be making it structurally sound, because these boards are heavy. And it's one thing the bottom boards, because they're sort of resting on the floor, but these will be sort of essentially hanging in situ, so we need to make sure whatever they're attached to is properly supportive, and at the moment I'm not convinced.
We've got these little battens just in the tongue and groove. It's probably not too bad if we were using plasterboard stuff. Now that we've got the really heavy stuff, might put a bit too much pressure on the poor little tongue and groovies.
Gonna be grooving no more.
So what, maybe go down the route of, dare I say, cut the tongue and groove panels off the Whistling Wombat?
Possibly, yeah, and building a frame into the wall that's nice and solid.
Happening again. Get it all off again. We will get there, guys. This is all part of the learning process. I'm telling you. That's the excuse anyway. Okay, so let's prepare to cut a huge hole in the wall. So supposedly there could be some electrical wires behind here. So we'll let Bex do it.
I'm not sure we need that, but you go for it.
Bit overkill. It's like cutting the wall out then. Make sure you wear ear defenders.
I just said that. I'll put the blade on again.
Oh, you always end up putting it on again. I hate the idea of using the multi-tool here on the tongue and groove. It feels like you're sort of cutting into the aesthetics of the narrowboat. Bex doesn't seem to mind. Oh, look, that's it.
Cotton wool for your nightly skincare routine that you do.
That's not a cotton wool. That's a nest.
What?
What's that? Put your head down there.
And people wonder why we don't get anything done on the boat.
She's back. Yes, she's a she. Just cut a little bit into here so that these fall off. Should drop off nice and easy, otherwise the official real way of doing it probably would be to probably take the whole bottom here off. Good God. You'd do well in one of those things with a big ball on the end. A wrecking ball.
I came in like a wrecking ball. I came in like a wrecking ball. And I ripped down the wall.
Oh, Jesus.
It's free now.
Completely out of control. We're meant to be putting this thing back together, not taking bits off. It's coming off too now.
Pull this down.
Just taking that off as well. Yeah.
It's in the way.
It's all in the way.
Trust me, there's a process. Okay, so
So now that is all off and we have our hole in the wall, we've got to get some beams in there for the hardy backer to sit on securely. Luckily, I've been holding on to loads and loads of wood on the narrowboat and I've come across this nice long bit which will be perfect, won't it, Bex? What do you reckon?
Such a big smelly liar. I keep all the wood and he goes on about it all the time until something like this happens and I'm like, oh, we need a bit of wood. Oh, there's a bit out the back that would cost us loads of money in B&Q. And he's like, oh.
Look how proud she is when she says, I keep all the wood.
I am proud keeping the wood.
So we need something to hold Becca's precious wood onto our precious wall. So we like to come into B&Q so we can just have a little look. It's good to have a feel, isn't it? And see what we're up against.
And then go and buy elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Screwfix in this incident, which is a sister company and owned by B&Q anyway. So a little hack that most of you probably already know, but Screwfix can be up to 5 times cheaper sometimes. Not always, but a lot of the time. Here we go. And they're the exact same products because they're the exact same company. In the last few weeks, it's just got absolutely freezing, and we've taken the stove out now as well, so we've got to get this put back in. To get these battens down, as soon as we get these up, we can get the hardy backer up there.
Hardy backer.
We can start tiling, and then we can start putting the copper up there too. And then we can get the stove back in. Bex said just get in bed with a hot water bottle, you'll be fine.
I slept in the woods on the ground, nothing but a roll mat and a sleeping bag.
Butt naked. So let's get some midnight chop sawing done. I'm not used to working when it's dark, Becca. When it gets dark, we sort of start relaxing, don't we?
I don't think you ever stop relaxing.
Not see the last episode. Oh, good God. Enjoy that, neighbours. We're going to call this extreme sawing. We've got the best neighbours, guys. They don't care. About 11:30 now at night. She's wanting to use the chop saw. They don't care. They're used to it. What do you want to say to those people that think doing this at 11:30 at night is a bit too late, Becca?
It's about time you learnt to tell time, Chris, because it's actually only 7 o'clock. You know, whatever.
I thought I'd make out it was a little bit later to make her look a little bit bad. Make her look ruthless. That's your lot. That's all you're getting. You can all go to bed now. So our little bits from Screwfix here should help us secure these battens to the wall.
So this is the idea.
Yeah,
sort of keep these in place.
So the top part of this stove, you don't actually need the hardy backer board as a requirement, but we're going to put it up there anyway because our wood here was scorched, so it'll fail the BSS anyway. So we thought, let's just go super safe, bung some of the hardy backer on there.
And more importantly, not just about the BSS, it's concerning if the wood is scorching that there's a problem.
Yeah, when me and Bex are talking, I'm all about just trying to get through the BSS, and Bex is like, well, safety as well, Chris, you know. Chris
is happy to just burn in bed, like where I'm like, we could prevent this from happening.
Yeah, I'll burn happily as long as we got the BSS. Now we're trying to work out if we want to leave a larger air gap at the back of the hardy backer on the top here, or just put it up to where the tongue and groove was. Because if we put it up to where the tongue and groove was, it'll slot in nice and easy and it'll sit back further.
The idea of taking the tongue and groove away from here was to create a frame in the wall, because it didn't feel sturdy enough to attach the hardy backer onto because it's heavy. And so I thought if we attach some cross members across here, so they're all nice and sturdy, and then the next thing we were going to do was attach, because this is where our hardy backer will come out to, we'd attach a timber there and a timber there, and then that's what we would screw our hardy backer into. So what we're trying to decide now, do we need to actually attach these two beams, or are these adequate just to screw into?
We left it on a cliffhanger again because we're both getting a bit tired and we're going to leave it. What do you reckon, guys?
Dun, dun, dun.